Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. Hope everything's good wherever you guys are. So, guys, we've had a um fight between David Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade, and David Benavidez absolutely dismantled Demetrius Andrade. I feel bad for Andrade. I told you this would happen, that the fight came at the wrong time. Like, Andrade started off well, he started off fast, but I kind of always expected that. But I knew the steam would be taken out of him by David Benavidez. And unfortunately for Andrade, his punch power did not have any effect on David Benavidez. I think David Benavidez is a lot more skilled. If you look at David Benavidez, he was kind of riding the punches. He kind of knew that this guy was going to be fast early on, and he kind of like absorbed them, and he was expecting it. But Demetrius Andrade, coming up the weight classes that he's come up, he was never going to have any kind of effect power wise on David Benavidez, and that was always going to be the problem. I mean, Andrade would look like half the size of Benavidez in there. So I mean, it was always going to be one-way traffic. It was always going to be one-way traffic. Benavidez absolutely took him apart. And to be honest with you, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Andrade's career, he's been sitting on the shelf. You can't be a top fighter and sit on the shelf like that. That was always going to happen. Andrade was always going to get beat in this fight, in my opinion. And he got beat badly, really. He got stopped in 6 rounds, and some people say he quit. I don't think he quit. I just don't think he. I think he was just. The writing was on the wall, you know. I think the corner did the right thing to stop the fight. I don't think that. I don't think that, at people saying Andrade quit. Nah, not for me. I think Andrade did what he could. Unfortunately, he was just in there with somebody that was a lot bigger, stronger, and I think he would have got hurt if he had carried on. So I think the right call was made. I think the right decision was made, and unfortunately for Andrade, that might be his career done at the top level, because I can't see him getting it. Like, he might get some good fights because there's Caleb Plant. He could get that fight, but again, a lot of people that were riding Andrade, talking about Andrade and this, that, the other. I mean, it's quite clear that Andrade, he wasn't like a lot of people were always making excuses for Andrade when he had a close fight with Liam Williams. And the last fight that he had, I can't remember the guy's name, but he dropped Andrade and it got called a slip. It was a terrible performance, and a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, Andrade's this, that, this." And Benavidez just showed that as soon as Andrade stepped up against somebody that was a top tier, that we consider top tier, he took him apart. Because if you're struggling with Liam Williams, if you're struggling with X, Y, Z, I mean, as soon as you get in, and these people thought that he would beat Canelo. He had no chance against Canelo. I mean, imagine Canelo, in my opinion, has as much, if not more, punching power than Benavidez. And Canelo would have destroyed Andrade, in my opinion. I don't even think that would have been that competitive, if I'm totally honest with you. But yeah, I mean, it's sad to see Andrade get battered like that and get taken. I mean, his face was a mess at the end. You could tell he had been beaten up. But if I'm honest with you, that's what I was expecting, because I knew that there's no way he's beating this David Benavidez. David Benavidez has been coming off some good wins. He had just beaten Caleb Plant. He had come off some. He had the wind in his sails, and he had the momentum. He had the youth, and he just seemed to me that he was just always going to win this fight. And it doesn't surprise me one bit. It doesn't surprise me. Andrade's career is, like I said, he's been on the shelf. He's not been active, and you can't expect to win against top tier fighters if you're not active, if you're not fighting on a regular basis, and especially when you're moving up weight class. Um, he was never gonna. Benavidez isn't even a concussive puncher. He's more of a guy. Like, he basically wore Andrade down. If you look at Andrade in the 5th round, Andrade was spent. I don't think Andrade was that hurt because of power. I think it was just that he was spent, because that's what I knew would happen. Because you think about it, if you're struggling against Liam Williams and he's making you huff and puff, right? Then what's David Benavidez, who's much bigger, stronger, more skilled, more powerful, what's he going to do? So what happened to Andrade was always going to happen against Benavidez. And I actually thought that the fight would be early on. I thought Andrade would give Benavidez trouble, which I think he did a little bit with his speed in the first round, you could tell. But after that, it's just that, like, he got broken down, like, he got beaten up in the end, and he just, like, he basically got wore down by the bigger man, effectively. And yeah, so it was sad. It was sad because it looks like that might be the end of Andrade. But it was always going to be that. It was all, and I even said to you that Andrade's career is going to be a sorry state because people are going to look at Andrade and be like, well, as soon as this guy stepped up and fought a top guy, he got beat, bashed up. And I said that might be what Andrade's remembered for. And I think he was a lot better than that. And unfortunately, he didn't really fight anybody. He didn't fight anybody. I feel like his career is a, in my opinion, a black mark for boxing. Because I think Andrade could have been a lot better, and he could have. No. Look, I don't think he was ever what his fans were making him out to be. I think there was too many flaws in his game for him to be what they were claiming him to be. But I definitely think he could have been a lot better than what he ended up, in the sense that what career he had. I think he could have had a much better career. Unfortunately, I think due to the lack of inactivity, he blamed it on people not wanting to fight him, maybe. But, I think it doesn't matter what time Andrade fought Canelo. Canelo would have beaten him, in my opinion. It doesn't matter. Because Andrade just doesn't... He's too defensively weak. He's too defensively not sound enough. Canelo hits too hard. And the writing would have been on the wall. I think Andrade's fitness isn't great either. I think he fades later on in fights. But in this fight, he just didn't get, like, the guy that he was fighting just was too relentless, too big, too strong, and too young, and he just didn't let him off the hook. You could see, like, Andrade was blowing so heavy after 4 or 5 rounds. He was taking deep breaths because the guy was too big, Caleb Plant, in my opinion, beats Andrade. Okay, look, Caleb Plant put in a decent performance against Benavidez. I mean, went the distance. Yeah, in the end, Benavidez just beat the crap out of him, but yeah. Benavidez is too big, in my opinion. He's too big for these guys. And look, he may even beat Canelo, but who knows? But look, at the end of the day, that Andrade, unfortunately, what I would like to see is Andrade v Jamal Charlo. I think that would be a good fight, because really, if you look at it, both of them both of them don't really stand a chance against Canelo or Benavidez. That's the fight we want to see, and we want to see maybe Jamal and Andrade. I think that fight could have been massive at once upon a time. I don't think it's that big anymore. I think both guys are kind of on the way out. But that could be a good fight. That could be a good, like, swan song for Charlo and Andrade, to be honest. Because I don't think either of the guys belong at the top now. Or top in the sense that I don't think they're top of any division. I think I think both of them will probably be food and drink to the guys at the top, just because of the inactivity. You can't be that inactive in boxing. I think it's too detrimental. And I think we've seen that. I think, unfortunately, I think their careers are winding down. They're on the way out now, in my opinion. So, yeah, it is what it is. Put on a good show. They did the best. He did the best he could do. But that was always going to happen. That was always going to happen. He was always going to... He was always going to lose against Benavidez, in my opinion. I think Benavidez is too young, too fresh, too strong. I think he's too hungry, and I just think the writing was on the wall for Andrade for a while now. I just think Benavidez knew that he wasn't afraid to fight that style. He knew he was big. He knew he had youth. He knew he had everything on his side. So he's thinking that this guy can't beat me. So I don't care what he brings. I'm going to do him. And I think that's what basically happened. I think he kind of knew that I'm going to beat this guy. So it doesn't matter what people say about him being a tricky, tough fight. And it actually, in the end, it wasn't even that tricky or tough. Basically, he had a couple of good rounds and then just battered him. So it wasn't even that tricky or tough for Andrade. It was just kind of a beatdown, really. Most people would say that, look, they were expecting the beatdown. But yeah, it was a very, very savage, I would say savage performance from what's his name? Benavidez. He battered him, battered him. So yeah, leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'd love to know your opinions, guys. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.